Welcome to another time episode of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. I'm your host, Evan Garber, and today we finally got the beginning of spring training for every single MLB team. Pitchers and catchers are finally all there right now, and I'm going to be bringing you one key question for each MLB team as we head into spring training. Um, we'll see if I can get it all in one episode. If not, we will split it up to American League today and then National League on Tuesday. But make sure to follow us down below on all social media platforms so you do not miss out on any of our content. A whole lot of different sports coming to you in these next couple of weeks. We've got F1 maybe on the weekend, baseball today, of course, and so many other sports. But we'll get right into it now. Starting off with the American League East, the Blue Jays. Their big question is, can Alek Manoah bounce back? Now, of course, we all know last season was a huge struggle for him. 19 starts, 5.87 ERA, and a 1.740 WHIP. And his big struggles with the pitch clock. He struggled to find that timing. Of course, struggled with his stamina with the pitch clock there, and it's really just an absolute struggle. He was one of the slowest pitchers in all baseball last season. So we'll see if he can finally figure out that pitch clock and finally find his stride as a starting pitcher for the Blue Jays. The Orioles, will Jackson Holliday make the opening day roster with his transition to second base? Now, it does seem like he will have to make that transition. Now that Gunnar Henderson has that shortstop spot on lock, it seems like. He hasn't really done a whole lot at second base so far in the minors, but in AAA last season, in total, he had 91 plate appearances, the 267 average, and a 400 slugging percentage. So he can, in fact, make the opening day roster, it seems like, but we'll see if he is a second baseman starter on opening day. But it's going to be interesting for him for sure. I definitely think he can make that transition pretty easily. Of course, he's a great defender. Can hit, of course, very, very well as well. So I think that transition will be fine. We'll see if he is the second base starter on opening day. The Rays, who is their next star pitcher? McClanahan's out for the season. Springs is out for a extended period of time, and so is Drew Rasmussen. So they're gonna have to rely a lot on these sort of unproven guys or younger guys. Eflin, of course, had a very good season last year, but guys like Savali, Littell, Pepio, Bradley, are any of those guys the next McClanahan, the next Blake Snell, the next star pitcher for the Rays, or will it come from some random guy that nobody really has their eye on, which seems to happen a lot for the Rays? It's just some random guy nobody really knows, just finds his way to be a star pitcher for the Rays. I mean, the Rays are a pitching machine. We'll see who the next guy will be. Of course, that'll be insane when they are healthy. Have McClanahan, Springs, Rasmussen, and whoever that one guy may be. The Red Sox, what is their opening day rotation looking like? I mean, right now the projected rotation is not very strong. Yet Giolito, will he bounce back? At Pavetta, Bello, and Crawford, will they be able to progress off what we saw last season from them? Look kind of good last season. We'll see if they can progress off that. And then Tanner Houck, will he find his stride finally? Struggled so far in the majors, and his time in the majors. We'll see if he can find that potential that the Red Sox thought he once had, and everyone really thought he once had. The Yankees, final team in the American League East. Where is their depth? I mean, they have many injury-prone guys like Rodon, Cortez, Rizzo, Stanton, LeMahieu. That's really what hurt them last season, was their injuries. And of course, Judge was out for a while last season, but will they be able to find some guys that can provide enough for them when those guys are out, when those guys are dealing with injuries, or even at times when you need some depth aside from those guys, when you need some other guys step up when Rizzo, Stanton, LeMahieu aren't performing very well, Judge isn't performing very well. Will you be able to find that for the New York Yankees? I don't know. We'll see in spring training. The Guardians, how will the new regime fare? Of course, they did hire Stephen Vogt as their new manager this offseason, and they pretty much got a whole new staff, so we'll see how that works out for them. Of course, trying to build off that playoff run, or sorry, that playoff appearance from last season. The Royals, What does their bullpen look like? I mean, outside MacArthur, Smith, and Stratton, there's really a whole lot up for grabs. 5 spots up for grabs, so we'll see how that fares with them. I definitely do think that the Royals are going to be much better than last season, but we'll see how far those veterans can take them. The Tigers, can the young core take a step forward? Definitely showed a lot of signs last season. Of course, last season last season was not a great season for them, but if guys like Hunter Green, Torkelson, Carpenter, and Keith can all step up, we'll see if that can maybe make them push for a playoff spot. I don't think that they'll be there yet, but definitely a lot of potential for all those young guys. We'll see if they can live up to that hype. The Twins, who will fill their rotation holes? They lost Maeda and Gray this offseason, which are two huge blows to that rotation. Luckily, the division is weak enough that they could still find a way to win it, but right now the rotation seems like Lopez, Ryan, Ober, Paddock, and DeSclafani. The back end rotation is definitely not very strong, especially with the injury proneness of DeSclafani. We'll see who they can find to fill the end rotation. Will it come from a signing this offseason? Will it come from a trade or something? We'll have to wait and see for that. But the White Sox, last team in the American League Central, nobody is safe outside Rodon and Cease. So who really stays and who really goes amid this rebuild / retooling? I don't exactly know what direction they're headed. I think a retool is what it seems like. Definitely doesn't seem like a rebuild because you're not trading Luis Robert yet. You didn't trade Dylan Cease yet. So we'll see what fix might come for them. We'll see what they do at the deadline and in the offseason, rest of the offseason. The Angels for them, of course, is really just the health of Mike Trout. Is Mike Trout going to be healthy? Because really, this team can only go as far as Mike Trout can take them, really. This team's not very strong right now, of course. They lose out on Shohei Ohtani, of course. So we'll see where Mike Trout can take them this season. The A's, what's their plan for anything, honestly? I mean, of course, you have everything going on off the field, but even on the field, like, what the heck is going on with this team? Who knows? Who really cares, honestly, at this point? I mean, the A's are obviously going to be one of the worst teams in all of baseball. We all know that. So, where's the direction for anything? We'll find out in spring training, hopefully. The Astros, what is their bullpen configuration? Now, of course, they did add Hader to be their closer, but now where do you get slide guys like Ryan Presley and Abreu? Of course, Presley was their closer, but Abreu had a very, very good season as setup guy. But now you move those two guys around. Where are they going to be now? Are you going to move Presley to the 8 and Abreu to the 7? Or Abreu to the 8, Presley to the 7? Or really just what are you going to do with those two guys? And, of course, the rest of the bullpen, what do you do with the rest of those guys? The Mariners, how good is their rotation? Now, of course, they did trade Robbie Ray to the Giants. And the rotation right now is Castillo, Gilbert, Kirby, Miller, and Wu. Definitely going to rely a lot on some unproven guys. We'll see how big the Robbie Ray blow is for them. The Rangers, can the rotation do enough? Rotation right now is not where you expect it to be. Of course, DeGrom and Scherzer are both out for extended periods of times, and they will seem like they might lose Montgomery. We'll see when Montgomery does sign, but right now it's Eovaldi, Gray, Heaney, Dunning, and Bradford. Of course, the top two guys are decent. Eovaldi, of course, had a very great postseason, but the rest of the guys, can you rely on them to pitch well enough until you get DeGrom and Scherzer back, and maybe even you add Montgomery at some point this offseason? But moving on to the National League side, the National League East, the Braves, can they get the most out of their new additions? They added Kelenic and Sale this offseason via trade. Kelenic, of course, was a first-round pick not so long ago. We'll see if they can find his potential, get the most out of him. And then, of course, Chris Sale. Can they find that one Cy Young candidate form out of him, or can they at least revive his career a little bit and make him back to a really solid middle end of rotation guy? The Marlins, how significant is loss of Jorge Soler? Of course, they made the playoffs last season, but now is that really in the cards this year? Of course, you lose Jorge Soler, was a pretty big blow, and like on paper, this roster is not that great. Somehow they found a way to make the playoffs last year, but now you lose Jorge Soler, your best power bat. Of course, you still have guys like Luis Ariz. You still have Alcantara. You still have um, Jazz Chisholm. You still have some solid guys, but is that really enough for them to make the playoffs? I don't think so. But is this a lot for the Mets? Is this Pete Alonso's last season as a Met? It doesn't look like he'll be extended this offseason or the season at all. He'll have to wait until next offseason. We'll see if he will resign with the New York Mets. The Nationals, will Dylan Cruz be on the opening day roster? Now, he made Double-A last season, but struggled a bit, hitting 208 and 72 at bats. I don't think you can say he's done enough to be in the opening day roster, I don't think, but definitely we'll see in the majors at some point this season. Phillies, is Josh Rojas the starting center fielder? Now, he looked great in the regular season, but went 4 for 43 in the playoffs. Did not look great whatsoever, but we'll see if they can figure that out. Diamondbacks, is this team legit? Honestly, I think they definitely are legit, but of course, we'll see if they can build off what they did last year. Of course, they have a lot of youth on that team. I'm not sure if they'll be able to sustain what they had last year. Of course, make it to the World Series. Dodgers, is Yamamoto as good as advertised? I definitely think so. His bullpen sessions was absolutely amazing so far. I don't see why he can't be that guy that the Dodgers desperately needed, it seemed like, or at least the Dodgers signed for a very long contract. The Giants, is the youth movement here to stay? I'm not positive. Definitely have to rely a lot on guys like Harrison, Beck, and Wynn in the opening day rotation, which is a little scary. And then, of course, you guys got like Casey Schmidt, Luis Matos, Fitzgerald, a lot of guys, Luciano, a lot of young guys you have to rely on for the Giants right now, and we'll see if those guys can prove that they're here to stay. Padres, where the Padres find innings, the rotation right now is pretty ugly. You got Musgrove, Darvish, King, Avila, and Vasquez. Of course, the top rotation is fine, but King, Avila, Vasquez, not very proven guys. We'll see if they can get the most out of them. And then for the Rockies, who is the future? They have some solid players out there, but definitely going to be one of the worst teams in all of baseball. We'll see if they can find some guy to build around, get some stepping stone, because they've been pretty bad for a while. Of course, I've trading guys like Arenado and losing all those big bats, but we'll see where they can head. Now, moving on to the last division, the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers. Their big question is, how can you deal with the loss of Corbin Burns? That's really pretty obvious, I think. Corbin Burns, of course, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball still. Traded him to the Orioles now, but definitely the Brewers are a pitching machine. It seems like Devin Williams, of course, will have a big role for that team, but aside from that, where do you go if you're the Milwaukee Brewers? Chicago Cubs, really just how will the new regime fare, obviously, but do they have enough on this team? They really just didn't make a whole lot of moves this offseason. I would expect a whole lot more out of them. Bellinger, we'll see if he does, in fact, stay, but you didn't really make any big additions, if any additions at all, honestly, this offseason. But you brought in Craig Counsell, who you would assume is a win-now manager, but it doesn't seem like you're really pushing toward that win-now mode right now for the Cubs. I don't know what they're doing out there. The Reds, can Ellie De La Cruz regain his stride? Of course, he looked electric in the first couple of weeks that he did play, first month or so. But then he kind of fell off, kind of saw that he was human. We'll see if he can find a way to find that stride once again and become the player that we all saw that he could be. Pirates, can they get a lot out of their young guys as well? Of course, guys like Brian Hayes, Paul Skeens, of course. Will he make the opening day roster? Probably will, honestly, at this point. Paul Skeens is so good. So can they get a lot out of guys like Paul Skeens, Key Brian Hayes, all those young guys? And then the Cardinals, can they just stay healthy? Can they return back to what this team obviously should be? Of course, they have Arenado and Goldschmidt, and the lineup should be very, very good. But on last year, it struggled a ton. Um, but they did get Sonny Gray, I believe it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe they added Sonny Gray. So the pitching, definitely a question mark as well. But I think they'll be able to get the pitching back. And so it's mostly just, can they score the runs? Can they put up a ton of runs? Like we know they can. A lot of power in the lineup, but we'll see how they fare. But let me know what you guys think down below. Comment down below your guys' takes as we head into the spring training for MLB. And then the season is now just over a month away. So comment down below your predictions for the season. But we'll see you guys on Saturday for the normal episodes.